Hey, what's up everybody? I'm here along the beautiful coast of Newfoundland, and one of the questions I've been getting a lot from you guys is how do I choose locations? How do I scout them? How do I find them? And I think there's a few questions in there. The first being, how do you just pick a location in the first place? And so a lot of that is usually eBird research and kind of intuition. I know one of the questions I asked, or one of the questions that was asked, the photographer said, is it, something that's gained out of experience? And yeah, that's a lot of it, a lot of it over time is just figuring out kind of, I don't know how else to say it other than just intuition, like, yeah, this seems like this is going to be a good location. But when I'm actually doing the research, a lot of what I'm doing is eBird. I use eBird just to find out where the birds are. But let's say, for example, here in Newfoundland, I'm not doing any research here. The spot I'm in right now that I've been photographing caribou and some other birds was given to me by a friend. But everything else that I've kind of stumbled upon and photographed on my own is just that, just going out to explore. And honestly, at this point, it's usually, and this is the case everywhere I go right now, that looks like a really pretty place, and then I go there. So I look for visually beautiful places first, and that's when I start to go out and see what I can find. And I think that is kind of a key ingredient to it, because then I'm already in a visually beautiful place and I can incorporate habitat, go a little smaller in frame, that sort of thing, if and when I do find something. And most of you here are probably bird photographers. That's my main target most of the time. And there's kind of birds everywhere. I can come out along this coast, just pulling up here. This was a spot that I haven't done any research on. I parked here and stayed the night. And when I woke up, there were some common eiders just floating right over here. There's black-polled warbler singing right behind me there. I just heard a gull call out back there. I think I hear a robin now. I'm not sure what else, but there's birds around here. So there's already stuff to photograph, and this habitat is stunning. The scenery is gorgeous. So if, for example, I wanted to work with that black-polled warbler this morning, it's hanging out in an area where there's a lot of low, scrubby kind of spruce habitat. So even if it perched on the top of a tree, I could shoot eye level at it. I could get some great portraits, or I could try and actually get some of this coastline in the background by going a little bit wider with the focal length. Like, there's a bunch of options there for me to try and get some really pretty scenery. So I think that's the big part, is finding that scenery first. And I can say one of the things I do a lot of when I'm researching where I'm going to go is I use a satellite view, and I look to see, okay, are there some dirt roads that go into this? What does the habitat look like? Is it open? Is it just a dense forest? That kind of thing. And a lot of times, guys, I get there and there's nothing there, so that's part of it as well. Like, you guys are only seeing the successful outings, because obviously I'm not going to, there's not a lot to teach when I can't find subjects, but that happens. It certainly does. But I will say it happens less often than I am successful and find something to photograph. So another part of that question is, where do you go and how do you decide when to go out? And when to go out, to me, is pretty straightforward. If it looks like it's going to be clear out as far as there being sun, either in the morning or evening, I'm going early in the morning, so usually before sunrise, to get on location and find some subjects before that sun comes up. Or if it's evening, a couple hours before, depending on how cooperative I think the subjects are, how well I know the area. If I don't know the area, I'll give myself a little bit more time to go out and scout and wander around. If I do know the area and I've already kind of figured it out, or even just scouted or shot the day or two prior, and I know where there's some subjects I can get, I can kind of compress that into that last hour of the day. But yeah, I'm going to try and take advantage of that early morning, late evening sunlight. There's no way I'm going out to shoot and try and get great photos in the middle of the day on a sunny day. I just do not do it. What I do is I go out and scout in the middle of the day. I hop on my bike, or I just go for a hike and I look for stuff, And a perfect example of that yesterday. So in the middle of the day, the sun cleared. It was cloudy in the morning, sun cleared out, and it was just blazing sun in the middle of the day. I hopped on my bike and rode around. It's a huge peninsula I'm on, but there was about a, 5-6 mile trail that went right out into the middle of all this tundra. And so most of it was on the coastline, pretty quiet, just beautiful, but I didn't hear much. And then one of the trails cut right through the middle of the peninsula from one side to the other, and it went up in through some more forest habitat. And as soon as I got in there, blackpoll warbler, blackpoll warbler, blackpoll warbler, I just heard one after the other. And I stayed in one spot for a little bit, and then I saw one. So it didn't even take long to just see one, just like that. And so if I wanted to go photograph blackpoll warbler, that's where I'm going. And so what did I do? I saved that pin onto my GPS app. Speaking of which, another app that I use to go exploring is called Gaia GPS. There's another one called OnX, I think. It's like ONX. I think that's how it's spelled. This one that I use is Gaia GPS, Gaia GPS. Yeah, here goes a gull flying. And I just use it because you can download maps ahead of time when you have a cell signal, and then still use the GPS app on your phone to navigate when you don't have a cell signal. It just uses the GPS, which works anywhere, you know? So that is really important to me. I use the satellite topographic maps. Usually that's what I'm viewing, and I save pins for where I found stuff that's interesting so that I can go back again, because there's no way I'm going to remember it all or even remember exactly where. And so I saved a pin for that blackpoll warbler spot, and if I'm ever in this area again, which I plan to be on my way back through in a couple of weeks, I know where I can go and try and photograph them, or maybe next year when I'm back, right? Things like that. So that was part of the scouting. And when I was there, same thing. It landed out, one of them I saw was out on a spruce tree like this high, just like eye level, clean distant background, perfect habitat to shoot them in light like this. In fact, I could go back there right now if I wanted to and try and photograph them, but I have some other things I'm going to do. So that's really all there is to it. There's not a lot to deciding where I'm going to shoot. And you know, one of the other things that one of the questioners asked was, they said they go out and scout, but they have a hard time figuring out what's going to be a good spot, what's not going to be a good spot. And that is the experience. That's the experience part. So after you've had enough experience, you start to be able to translate what a scene looks like to your eye and what that's going to translate like in a photo. So if I'm working with any birds on the water, I'm looking for spots that I can get truly water level. And this coastline here is rocky and steep. Oh, what's that swimming behind me? This rocky shoreline is usually kind of steep down into it, but there's a couple spots over here where it's actually really gradual. I could go out and lay down if I wanted to. I'd get wet, but I could lay down right there and be damn near water level. Also, the conditions are very important for out here. The past 2 days, it's been wavy. There's no way to lay really that low along the coastline without getting splashed with waves. Overnight, the wind's completely died and changed direction. You can see today, it's completely calm out here and flat, and there's barely any waves come up in there, so I could lay much lower. So that's an important part of it as well, is paying attention to the weather forecast if you're going to be shooting in and around water. Usually I'm looking for calmer days, you know. Sometimes it can be interesting with wind and waves and depends on what I'm shooting, but most things on the water are going to look better when it's calm. It's going to look the best when it's glassy. Out in the ocean, it's very rare you're going to get it glassy, right? But lakes and smaller areas like that, you can definitely get really nice looking water when it's calmer. So that's another thing to pay attention to. As far as the timing though and the weather, I really don't just rely on that, you know. Sometimes you just got to go out. The forecast is wrong all the time. All the time it'll say it's going to be partly sunny or mostly cloudy, and I'm like, oh, I'll sleep in a little bit, and then I wake up and it's full sun, or there was an amazing bit of sun for the first 10-15 minutes. So I always go out early if I really want to make sure I catch that light. Staying late in the evening is a little bit easier. But yes, as far as the weather goes, I do pay attention to that with water shooting. As far as shooting in more forest, fields, locations like that, it's just a matter of having some space, having some pretty habitat. If it's a really packed, dense forest and the birds are just all in the interior of it, you're not going to have a lot of options unless you get really, really close, you know? You're going to need some space to get some background separation. So even in those dense forests, I can do some photographs sometimes because I try to wait for the birds to come on the outer edges. And that way they're a little bit more exposed. Sometimes I can shoot with further distant backgrounds. But trial and error, guys, that's really going to be the majority of what you have to do. There's no way I can transfer and teach, you know, what a location looks like and exactly how it's going to translate into a camera. That's just like I said in the beginning, intuition and knowing what things are going to translate like through the camera and what's going to be good and what's not. Light direction is another helpful thing. So paying attention to that when you're in a spot, and I use an app called Sunseeker. There's an app called PhotoPills that a lot of people use, and there's another one called, I forget the other name of it. Those are good, but they're really, really complicated. This app that I use called Sunseeker is really straightforward. Super easy. It's got a couple different views to show you the sun direction, and you can see the future sun direction. So for example, if I was going to try and photograph here and I wanted to know where the sun was going to set, and I've never been here before, I could open that app, and right now I could actually point it at the sky, and it would show me exactly the path of the sun and where it's going to take and what time it's going to be down. So I know at this point the sun's going to be actually over there when it sets, even though it's like over there when it's rising, right? So it's going to kind of arc around the sky this way. And that's really helpful, you know, to know, oh, it's going to be a better shoot in the morning or in the evening to do the lighting that I'm trying to get, you know, or even if it's not that I'm trying specific lighting, it'll just be helpful to know where that sun's going to be so I can change my approach and that sort of thing. So that's all I got for you guys. I hope there's some helpful info in there. Basically, get out and just keep shooting. That's the best recommendation I can give. And on every one of these lessons, I'm going to continue to try and tell you why I chose where I was, how I ended up there, and hopefully during the shoot videos you can kind of see my approach, and maybe that can start kind of cluing you into, okay, this kind of thing works for this, and that sort of thing.